Great to have you along for the ride. Thanks a lot for stopping by. Always glad to have this guy back. He's a great Republican representative from the great state of Arizona, District 5, Representative Andy Biggs. Andy, how are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you, Joe. Thanks for having me.
Man, there's so much going on in the country right now, but I want to focus on something that happened last night. And you were one of the few, I think there were 67 Republicans that voted against this thing last night that sends $40 billion to Ukraine. We've already sent $4.5 billion or something like that to Ukraine. But it wasn't a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, Andy, when Elon Musk said that he was going to buy Twitter for $44 billion, that the left in this country exploded and said he could help the homeless and feed the starving and house the people who have no place to go. I mean, they went on and on about how this man shouldn't spend his self-earned $44 billion on something that he wanted to buy, but it's okay to send $40 billion of your money and mine over to Ukraine where we've got high gas prices, no baby food to find on the shelves. Grocery stores are jacking up prices like crazy. You can't even buy a pound of beef anymore. It's so expensive. Andy, what am I missing? Why is this okay, but Musk is a bad guy?
Well, you're not missing anything. It's the illogic of the other side. I mean, and I got to say one thing. It's not 40 billion of your money and my money or just general taxpayers' money. This is 40 billion that we just simply don't have. This is going to come from your children and your grandchildren,
right?
Just like all of our national debt is. But here's the thing that's so onerous here. Part of this thing is going, like, I think the number is $8 billion to non-government organizations. Doesn't specify necessarily which organizations, doesn't say what they're going to do, doesn't say how they're going to be accountable, doesn't say how we're going to pay any of this stuff back. And we're right now, since we've been shipping copies of our missiles to Ukraine, when I say copies, I mean individual missiles over there.
Yes.
We're using our stockpile. We are now not militarily ready. So now we have to build new missiles to fill up our cupboard. And the problem with that, of course, is it takes 2.5, 3 years to build a single missile, and it takes $1 million a missile. And so, well, we've got to do some catch up because of what we've done. Instead of giving out of our surplus, we gave of our stockpile.
It's Arizona District 5 Republican, the great state of Arizona, Andy Biggs. So let's talk about the NGO money for a second. Who at the end will get to decide who gets that money? Because I don't trust them. Who gets to decide that?
Well, it wasn't specifically clear, but I'm assuming that it's going to be somewhere in either Homeland or Health and Human Services, Department of Defense. Who knows exactly who's going to have the final say, but we don't know where it's going, what it's going to be used for per se, and that is a huge problem. And they'll come out and say, well, we're going to use it for humanitarian purposes. You're also going to give money to other countries, and this is the amorphous statement in there. It said to countries affected by the Ukraine war. Well, I say our country's affected by it.
Yes.
Our gas prices are out of control. We have higher food prices. All of this because of the Ukraine war that's going on with Russia. So how much of that's staying here out of that 40 billion? And the answer, of course, will be none of it.
And that's absolutely right. It's Andy Biggs, District 5 Republican, great state of Arizona. Go to biggs.house.gov. When it comes to all of that money, I would have expected every Republican to vote against it. Why so few? Any idea?
Well, the leadership said there was a big victory there because the Afghanis that were not vetted, who were brought into the country as refugees, they're not vetted, but we prevented them from being made citizens, being naturalized as citizens immediately. They'll have to go through a longer process, and they said that was a big win, and we ought to suck it up for that big victory.
Yeah, we could have done that individually. Why did it have to be part of a package that we had to send all this money overseas when we're in dire straits economically right now? Americans on the left, Andy, as you know, are as mad as Americans on the right because we're all paying the same prices. We're all seeing the inflation at 8 to 10%. We're all seeing employment. The wages are not going up anywhere near as much as our costs are going up. So I don't understand why you dig in the sands like Andy Biggs and say, we're not going to say okay to this. If you want to do this other stuff, let's do it separately.
Yeah, no, look, so I was trying to persuade many of my colleagues, and, the House Freedom Caucus led the charge on that. But,
right.
When you only get 55, 60 members out of nearly 200 some odd, you say, well, where's the other 75%? We miss them on that, and they need to be with us Um, and uh, I think it's just sometimes uh, I can't explain. I don't know why they didn't
Right.
vote with us. They should have been voting no with us. And I can't explain. I don't know. I don't know why. I can't attribute motives. All I can say to you is we have big problems in this country.
Yes.
We have a border that's absolutely wide open. And we don't put, this administration doesn't put any money down on the border to assist with this crisis they've caused there. We've got crime rates that are high. We've got, as you said, you got formula for babies off the shelves. We don't have enough for that. And we're going to send a bunch of money over there. By the way, we're sending them about, I think it's $6-8 billion in that range to just pay for the government functions and social welfare net in Ukraine.
Come on, man.
How does that even make sense?
It doesn't. It's Congressman Andy Biggs. I always appreciate the time and the access. Now that you got short time today, let me switch to abortion and Roe v. Wade. Roe v. Wade goes away, abortion doesn't become illegal. That's just not true. The left is lying about that. The individual states will be able to handle abortion as the 10th Amendment says it should have been to begin with. Abortion's not in the Constitution. Yet, as we speak, you got people playing a game over in the Senate, pretending like they're going to somehow codify Roe v. Wade or abortion rights for women nationally or federally. I mean, that's something that'll be, if you challenge it, it'll be thrown out of court immediately. Why are they playing this game, and why aren't they telling the truth about what Roe v. Wade actually did?
Well, they're not telling the truth because they have nothing to campaign on. You saw this immediately became a campaign issue.
Yes.
Where they're going to go out and say, "Oh, we're going to win this the midterms back based on Roe v. Wade." That's not true. You're seeing polling all over the place for even liberal women who, or any woman who supports abortion. They're saying, "Look, they're much more concerned about the economy and inflation and how they support and sustain their family and the lives of their family today than they are worried about Roe v. Wade." And I think this is just the Washington D.C. bubble of the left wing elite. Right. And they're making a big deal about it. This is not gonna help them, I don't believe.
Well, very well said. I mean, I don't know anybody who is a one-issue voter who that one issue is abortion. It's either the economy, it's the border, it is so many other things. And abortion's way down at the end of the list. They're not going to win on this. I wonder why they're playing this game. Andy, I've got to go to journalism. You know that I was a TV news anchor for a long time, the journalist for a long time, and the job should be left alone. We have freedom of the press to make sure that we keep government in line, to be honest with you. They did it wrong during Trump, and a lot of them still do it wrong. But those who are doing it right, like Cheryl Atkinson, like James O'Keefe, like James Rosen, who was surveilled by Obama, for years by Eric Holder, these people are not allowed to do their jobs. In fact, they're under attack. I know that you had them in front of your committee today. Tell me about that.
So we had an off-campus hearing because we can't get these types of hearings held here with the Democrats. So Freedom Caucus and myself, we put together this hearing, and we brought in Cheryl, and we brought in James, and we brought in Harmeet Dillon to talk about this. And it's amazing the attacks that have gone on, the attack on James O'Keefe and all of the Project Veritas. And it's always coincidental to them reporting on something that the leftist establishment doesn't like, and they weaponize the police apparatus. So Cheryl Atkinson, for instance, she breaks the Fast and Furious scandal 10, 11 years ago.
Right.
And immediately she's broken into. And she has 3 separate forensic teams that come in and they identify who has taken control of her computer remotely. And it's federal government IP addresses from the apparatus of the police state. And oddly enough, even the USPS investigative service, which is interesting because I don't think most people, including myself, knew there was an investigative service until about a year or so ago. And they were in there, and they were planting evidence. They were going to plant evidence try to plant a classified document so they would have some kind of predicate to go against her. This is stuff that you would see in the former Soviet Union or at the hands of the East German Stasi. You would not plan to see this in a constitutional free republic like we think the United States of America is or should be.
And that ties into this disinformation governance board, which is ridiculous. You've got a far left-wing partisan who is running this, who lied about Hunter Biden's laptop, lied about the election in 2016, lied about Russia collusion. She somehow is going to decide, Andy, if you and I are telling the truth. What is this?
Well, what it is again, this is I've told you this before, Joe. I know you agree with me. The left has an authoritarian bent to it. It's inherent in leftism because you have to compel people to come along because there's nothing really particularly appealing about
Right.
the left wing's policies. So that's what this is. It is to compel, censor, and gain control over the American people. And that's the dangerous situation we're in under the Biden administration today.
U.S. Representative Andy Biggs, District 5 Republican, great state of Arizona. I know you got to go. One last quick thing. I know that you rejected, or you gave a rejection of the January 6th panel. Did they invite you to come and speak, Andy? And you said no, or are you just rejecting the panel as a whole?
I reject them as being illegitimate. They sent me a letter saying, come on in. We want to have access to you. And I'm like, everybody on there, they don't just hate us. They don't just want to destroy the Republican Party. They view us as enemies, and they want to attack us as enemies. And you will never get a sense of fairness. You're not going to get due process. What they do is they take bogus media information, regurgitate it, selectively leak it, and that's what they've done against me and so many others. And I'm not going to dignify them and go in and basically step into a lynching mob and put the noose around my neck and go and let them open the trap door. I have denied this stuff repeatedly. We've provided clarification. It's all out there in the public domain. But these people, they want to punish anybody who stood up for Donald Trump or anybody that had the temerity to say, hey, there might be an anomaly in this election. Let's find out what happened here. That's where they're going, and they want to get all 141 members of Congress who voted to set aside electors, to object to electors. That's what they want to do. Again, this is part of distracting us from the failed policies of the Biden administration. And Americans, believe me, Americans want to know more about how to solve inflation, how to get the economy going, how to secure the border, how to lower crime rates, how to get energy back, how to strengthen our foreign affairs prestige again. They want to know, what are we going to do on all of these domestic issues that the Democrats have screwed up. But these guys don't care. They're out to get people's scalps, and that's what this is about.
Biggs.house.gov, District 5 Republican, great state of Arizona. Andy Biggs. I know how busy you are today. You're running back and forth. You got to go and do some more voting. Andy, thanks for making time. Appreciate you.
You bet, Joe. Keep up the good work.
All right, brother. We're back after this. Stay right here.